Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Amit and this is the Mahindra Bolero Neo. Now while Mahindra is not calling it that, this in essence is the new updated BS6 version of the TUV 300, and that resemblance will be very clear to you once you look at it from the side. Now Bolero as a brand does not require any introduction in India. It's the highest selling SUV, if you can call it that. Well, Mahindra does in India, has sold more than 1 million units and still going strong. In rural India, there is very high demand for the Bolero, and why not? It's a very rugged vehicle, very low maintenance, and it lasts for years, doesn't complain. However, for those who want the good part, that's the rugged appeal of the Bolero, but want it with a bit of sophistication, there isn't an answer, and I think that's the kind of audience that Mahindra is trying to address here with the Mahindra Bolero Neo. And it's very evident if you look at the face. The fascia here is slightly more premium, it's more upmarket, and that's where you can really tell the difference as compared to the Bolero. It does look a little bit more sophisticated, and there are signature elements from the Bolero which are there. If you look at these two lines which are turned at the ends, these are taken from the Bolero line. The grille is very reminiscent of the Bolero line, although if you look at these vertical slats, there are 6 in number here. The thicker vertical slats on the Bolero are 2 with finer slits in the middle, but this is definitely reminiscent. The X-shaped fascia is again reminiscent of the Bolero line. However, with these wraparound lamps, it does look more premium. Although there are no LED elements in the headlamp itself, you do get a LED DRL which adds a touch of premiumness. But what's more functional is these static bending lights which have been included and are really welcome. These are all bulbs. The blinkers are bulbs, the headlights are bulbs. However, if you look at the interplay of shapes and the colors here, it does look somewhat nice, and you have this beautiful honeycomb mesh grille over the radiator. You have a skid plate which is done in grey, and then you have this black color which emerges out on the bumper. All of it looks really nice. Even the fog lamps have this 3D kind of an element around it. So all in all, it really comes together very well. It has a very SUV-ish look, and the narrow front of the Bolero has been replaced by a more wider, a little bit more sophisticated kind of a look. And to be very honest, looking at what Mahindra has tried to accomplish here, I think they have succeeded to a large extent. Now, if you like the front, do let us know in the comments section. We would really like to know what you think about the Bolero Neo. But it's at the side where the profile of the car is going to strike a resemblance with something that you've seen so many times, and that's the TUV 300. That's right, this car is more or less based on the TUV 300. However, Mahindra says that the chassis here has been taken from the 3rd gen Scorpio, and that's not exactly shared with the TUV 300. There are a few other subtle differences, and if you look at this A pillar, it's thicker, it's more solid, and gives it a more rugged look as compared to the TUV 300. Also, the bonnet line has been brought down to give it a more squat, a little bit more planted stance to make it look more SUV-ish. And apart from that, the shape of the pillars is very similar if you go to see. However, if you look at these plastic appliques here, they are clearly reminiscent of the Bolero line. The door handles are body colored, and you also get this footstep to get in. These lines are very similar to the TUV 300 though, but this central applique, the plastic cladding, does give it that Bolero-ish kind of a look. The ground clearance, if you may ask, has not been mentioned. However, the fully laden ground clearance, which is mandated by ARAI these days, is 165 mm. I think the unladen ground clearance would be around 190 mm. The tires here are C8 ZAR tires, and the wheels are 15 inches with 205 section tires, both up front and the rear. Front gets discs, while at the rear you have a drum brake. Now, the big windows will ensure that there is enough airiness. You have that antenna right there, and these big mirrors are obviously going to ensure that there is enough visibility of the vehicles coming from behind. You also have these trapezoidal kind of wheel arches, which are again a little bit different from what you see on the TUV, and it's completely underclad with this to reinforce the fact that this in fact is an SUV. Here you have the fuel filler flap, and at the rear again the similarities with the TUV are unmistakable. You have this high mount stop lamp, you have rear defogger, wash and wipe, Bolero Neo branding here. The tail lights are all Bulbs, there are no LED elements here. You get these blinkers, reverse lights, a footrest to help you get in, and on the top variant you also get this X-shaped cover for the spare wheel, which by the way is not an alloy, it's a steel rim. However, it is a full-sized spare wheel. You also get these rear parking sensors, but what you don't get is a rear parking camera. However, if you want one, you can always buy one from Mahindra Genuine Accessories and have it fitted, so that's not a problem. If you want a rear view camera which is not a part of the standard equipment, you would be able to get it and have it installed. Open the tailgate and you will be welcomed by these two jump seats, which can obviously be folded like so, and once you fold them you have a boot space of 385 liters, which is comparable to the best in the business, and there is no problem whatsoever. And with these two jump seats you can indeed seat 2 more people, which makes it effectively a 7-seater vehicle. You have a child lock here, and this here is the door pull to open the tailgate from inside and a handle to pull it back in. Now before we get in, one thing that you need to understand, that the Bolero Neo is supposed to be a very rugged, very functional kind of a vehicle, and although there are a lot of features inside, it's not the kind of SUV that will have all the modern features that you get in the vehicles which are designed for the urban scape and primarily for on-road use. This vehicle is more rugged, and the interiors and features should be looked upon with that perspective in mind. So here you have the key with lock and unlock buttons, and it's a flip out key, and if you press this button, the blinkers will light up along with the sound, and you can press it again to stop it. Now for getting inside, you obviously have to take the key out and unlock it. And before we get in, let me just let you know that there are 3 primary variants available with the Bolero Neo: N4, N8 and N10, and the features of all these variants can be seen on the screen right now. We'll pause it for 5 seconds so that you can have a look at all the features. And apart from that, there is an N10 options where you have the option of an MLD or mechanical locking diff, although you'll have to pay extra price, and the threshold for the MLD to kick in is 100 RPM. So if any of the wheels is spinning by 100 RPM more, the MLD will kick in, and then both the wheels will spin at the same rate so that you can get out of tricky conditions. Although let me also mention that a 4x4 cannot be specified with this vehicle, so it's available only in rear wheel drive with MLD or mechanical locking diff as an option. So the door panels are a very simple affair, and if you look at that color and texture, so it's all plastic, but the texture here is a little different. Both of these are hard plastics, and you have this dark grey kind of an insert here along with black door pulls and a big water bottle holder with some space to spare. And if you look at the interior, the colors and the textures here have been worked upon by Pininfarina. So if you look at the fabric here, it does look quite good, and Pininfarina has worked on it, so you can see a touch of elegance to it. However, in terms of functionality and in terms of the layout, it's more or less what you'd probably see in the Mahindra TUV 300. Now the seat height is slightly higher than ideal, but that should not be a problem because you have a footstep here, so you can just put your foot on the step and get inside. Even if you are off a shorter than ideal height, you have driver's seat height adjust, which is obviously manual for this kind of a car. Now right at the outset, let me introduce you to these 3 buttons. This is the micro hybrid button, which enables or disables the engine start stop function. This is the demister, and then you have this eco mode, which is going to save you some fuel. You have the light leveler here, and then the left and right electric adjustments for the mirror. No dead pedal here, and the clutch is reasonably light for a diesel vehicle. However, I would have really loved it had there been a dead pedal, which isn't there. You have the fuse box right here, and the steering wheel is adjustable for height. Obviously no adjustability for reach here. Then the instrument console, if you look here, is different from the TUV 300, and it's new, so that's welcome. Tacho, speedo, and you have this readout, small little readout in the middle, which gives you a lot of information regarding your fuel consumption and a lot of other information as well. Then you have this 7-inch screen in the middle, which is available on the top of the line N10 variant, and it comes with BlueSense, so you can connect your phone and you can get a lot of features on the app. So that's really nice. It's a bare basic interior, so don't expect too many fancy things. However, it's very well laid out, and you have this very nice storage space here where you can put a lot of stuff, your wallet, your cell phone. And then apart from that, you have a lot of spare spaces here as well. A 12-volt power socket, a USB socket, an aux in. Then the controls for the windows are here in the middle, and you can lock the rear windows from here. These spaces make for good storage points. So if you want to use these cup holders for, say, your sunglasses holder, you can do that. However, there are 3 separate slots here, and you can use them as cup holders. Another good thing are these armrests on both the sides, driver and passenger. The glove box is reasonably sized, and all of these materials are of a good quality. I cannot say that they are bad quality for this kind of a vehicle, and all of this has been finished rather well as well. You get these titanium silver colored inserts in places, and some of these touches have also been introduced by Pininfarina to liven up the interior of this car. On the driver side, you have a toll ticket holder. On the passenger side, you have a vanity mirror without illumination. These are the 2 lights, the buttons for which and the overall appearance could probably have been better, but knowing the kind of car this is, it's fine, I think. And you can also move these lights around like so. The headliner is made of a fleece-like material, which is okay, and these mirrors are day-night adjustable, not auto-dimming. Hazard lights and your controls for your AC are manual. No digital readouts here and no climate control. You also have this button which is meant for reducing your consumption while using the AC, and it's called the AC Eco mode. So you can use it if it's not too hot outside, and it's going to save you some fuel again. The view all around is very good, and although this A-pillar is quite thick, I don't really think it should be much of a problem. It doesn't create much of a blind spot, and the visibility all around is very, very good. You sit high up, and it does give you a very SUV-ish kind of a feel. Now, just to mention the top features of the N10, you get chrome inserts in grille, alloy wheels, X-type spare wheel cover, follow me home headlamps, DRLs, static bending headlamps, height adjustment for driver, front armrests, second row armrests, isofix child seats, electric ORVMs, magic lamp, front fog lamps, 7-inch touchscreen infotainment and cruise control. In terms of safety, this car comes with twin airbags. It comes with ABS and EBD, although there is no traction control and no option for more than 2 airbags. However, for this kind of a car, this is built very rugged and is reasonably safe. You should not worry much about safety if you're buying this car. This is pretty rugged and solid and made with high strength steel. All in all, it's a very neatly laid out interior. I cannot find any jagged edges or signs of the finishing not being good. You should know what you should expect from a Mahindra Bolero brand, and in the Neo version, it definitely is a step up over the standard Bolero. It has a lot more features, and if you are familiar with the Mahindra TUV 300, the experience here is more or less similar, and I don't have any problems with the quality of the materials for the segment that this represents, and the finish as well. The features, of course, a lot of them are missing, but I'm not complaining because I know the kind of audience that this car is targeted at. Let's go at the back seat and see how much space and other features we have there. Now, just like the front, you have similar materials here. You have these window controls and these silver inserts, space for a 1-liter water bottle and some more space to spare. You can use the footboard to climb up the rather high positioned seat, and the knee room here isn't the best in class because, as you know, there is space for 2 more occupants at the rear, but this is not complaint worthy either. The headroom is also sufficient for people of a height up to 6 feet 2 or 6 feet 3. While the knee room is not a problem, I think the legs here do sometimes foul with the bottom of the front seat, so that can be a bit of an issue. However, where this bench seat redeems itself is the fact that you can actually seat 3 people abreast here, and this does have space to seat 3 people if they are not too heftily built. So in terms of the width of the car, it's pretty good, and you can actually seat 3 because this is a flat bench and you don't even have a big hump in the middle. You don't, however, get a rear AC vent, and you don't have any charging sockets either, so that's a bit of a bummer. I think that could probably have been introduced as a feature add over the TUV 300. But in all, these seats are reasonably comfortable. The recline angle is good. The side passengers get adjustable headrest, which is a great feature. However, the central passenger does not get any headrest at all. You also get this central armrest on the top of the line variant, and it should enhance your comfort over longer journeys. There is a light here which is shared between the second and the third, I cannot call it row, but the 6th and the 7th passengers. You also get Isofix child seat mounts on one side, which I really think is a great inclusion and should be appreciated. And for this segment, I think Mahindra have done well to introduce this feature. Under thigh support is fantastic. It's really good. It's actually a lot better than other more expensive vehicles in this segment. However, I cannot say the same about the quality of the cushioning. It's pretty good. It's not bad at all. However, the contouring and the seat quality is slightly better on some other cars. All in all, it's a very functional space, very well laid out. The color combination and the textures here, as you can see, have been done tastefully. And while it doesn't boast of very high quality materials, it's very functional. And someone who knows what he is buying into, the Bolero brand is supposed to be very rugged, very functional, very spacious. So in that sense, it's pretty good. However, you will obviously miss some features which you'll get in other more premium, more urban targeted kind of SUVs, so to say. So now guys, powering the Mahindra Bolero Neo is the M-Hawk 100, as the name suggests, with 100 HP of peak power, produced at 3750 RPM, and the peak torque here is 260 Newton meters, and this peak torque is produced between 1750 and 2250 RPM. Now if you compare it with the erstwhile TUV 300, the peak power there was similar to this. However, the torque was 20 Newton meters less, and the torque there was 240 Newton meters. It was also produced about 150 RPM lower at 1600 RPM. So the RPM level here has increased very slightly, but the increase in the torque can be felt. As all new Mahindra M-Hawk engines, this is also beautifully tractable. It's very torquey, delivers power from the bottom of the rev range, very drivable. And this engine is mated here with a 5-speed transmission, no 6-speed transmission here, but this is a very smooth transmission. Although the throws are long, the clutch action is very light, and for a diesel I think it's going to be very convenient. There is a very mild, almost not mentionable kind of a notchiness. I really think that this is a good gearbox. There is nothing to complain about here. The gearing, if I really talk about the gear speeds, in the first gear you would be able to reach 40 kilometers per hour. In the second gear you'll be able to achieve 68 kilometers per hour, and in the third gear you'd achieve 107 kilometers per hour. So it's not a very fast machine. If you look at 0 to 100 kilometers per hour timing of this vehicle, it's about 13-14 seconds, which is not very quick. Nor is this like a very engaging vehicle to drive. There is some play at the dead center, and if you turn the steering a little, there is nothing happening. You also can feel the higher center of gravity of the vehicle, and around corners it doesn't quite feel as connected as even say the Mahindra XUV 300 or a Ford EcoSport. So you can definitely feel a lot more body roll. However, the application of this vehicle is very different. It's meant for primarily the hinterlands, for the rural market, the tier 2 towns. And for that kind of an application, you do need good ground clearance, and you need a very rugged kind of a suspension. So this has a front independent suspension. At the rear you have multi-link suspension with coil springs. So all in all, it's a vehicle which is tuned more towards comfort, and it does provide comfort in spades. So as you can see right now, I'm not going very fast around these banks which are meant for testing the steering of a vehicle, but you do feel a ton of body roll. So it has a soft suspension, and over bad bumps or speed breakers, you can feel that suspension working. It does insulate you very well from bad surfaces, from those vicious bumps. And it is very pertinent in the rural areas where the roads are not very good, and sometimes this vehicle will have to go off the road also. And that's also one of the reasons why MLD or mechanical locking diff has been introduced in this vehicle, to take it out of tricky situations where traction is not available plenty. The steering lacks feel. It's like quite vague, but all of that are traits which have been associated with the TUV 300 also. And for this rugged kind of a vehicle, I'm not really complaining. Although if you really want a more connected kind of a car, faster car, something which has better road manners, you probably would not be looking here in the first place. You'd be looking at something like the Mahindra XUV 300, which by the way is a fantastic handler. So the point being that yes, this is a very comfortable car. It will take you around in comfort. However, this is not going to be one of the fastest things. It's not going to be giving you a very strong in-gear acceleration. But what this engine is very linear, very torquey, and even in high gears at lower speeds you would have plenty of torque to keep you going. Even in city traffic you won't have to shift much. Even if you have to, you don't have to apply the clutch too much. So all of these things make it very drivable, very comfortable. The high seating position gives you a very good visibility, and which is very important for the kind of applications that this vehicle will be used in. So I think for the kind of requirements that this vehicle is made for, it does its job pretty well. Better dynamic ability is always welcome. However, it's not one of the best handling vehicles, but it's not complaint worthy also. If you're going to be driving at a relaxed pace, I think it's reasonably reassuring. However, you should not be driving this vehicle too enthusiastically. In terms of fuel efficiency, you should get about 14 to 15 kmpl within the city, and on the highway you should be able to get about 18 kmpl if you're driving with a light right foot. So fuel efficiency should not be a problem. The engine is a 3-cylinder unit, and up to 2500 rpm you cannot really tell whether this is a 3-cylinder engine, but the moment you try to take it past 3000 rpm, you can distinctly hear that 3-cylinder thrum coming in, and that's the only time when you can really tell that, you know, this is a 3-cylinder unit. It's not unrefined at all. It's quite a smooth engine, and all the new Mahindra engines have been very smooth. This is not an exception. The power delivery gets strong after about 1300 rpm, and it keeps increasing, getting stronger all the way till 4000 rpm, after which the power and torque, like, you know, they sort of start fading away, and it redlines at about 4600 rpm, after which the limiter cuts in. Not a very enthusiastic, very rev happy kind of an engine, but it's very relaxed, it's very refined, and it's full of torque. 260 Newton meters of torque is a very good number, and it really aids the laid back, relaxed kind of driving style that suits this kind of a vehicle. I think for a vehicle which is not supposed to be extremely sophisticated, I think the insulation is also pretty well. There is absolutely no wind noise coming in. There is no suspension noise filtering in. Although there is a bit of engine noise coming into the cabin, but it's not complaint worthy. So all in all, the insulation part has also been taken care of rather well by Mahindra. So if you're familiar with the TUV 300, the experience here is pretty similar. The dynamics are a little better. The chassis has been worked upon, so it feels slightly better. The steering feels a little hard than ideal at very slow speeds. But you should know what I'm talking about. It's not a vehicle that you should be driving very fast in, and for the kind of application that it's meant for, it does its job just well. So that's that, guys. This is the Mahindra Bolero Neo, or what you'd probably want to call the updated BS6 TUV 300 is what it is, and we really think that they've done a great job with it, and it looks a lot more balanced, it's a lot more proportionate, looks more SUV-ish, is more desirable, has a lot more features. And if you talk about the prices, they have not been announced yet, but when it's launched, I really think that it should be somewhere between 8 to 11 lakh rupees, and that should be the price range between which it should play. And at that price point, I really think that it's a good value for money rugged vehicle for those who want a lot of space inside, want to travel on untrodden territories, and want a vehicle which has very low maintenance and is very high on functionality and resale. So for what it's meant to be, I think Mahindra have done a great job with it. And if you're in the market for a sub 4 meter rugged SUV, I think this makes a lot of sense. I really hope that this video was of some use to you. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to Motoroids. Always put Motoroids in your searches when you're searching for long, detailed videos. And until next time, this is Amit Changani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.